One of my best friend's birthdays is coming up. However, said best friend has a very dark aesthetic, just like my other friend I did a project for that I filmed. Anyway, they have a very dark aesthetic, and I did not give myself enough time to spin either Zwartbles or very dark blue tassel. So I'm going to try and dye these as black, as dark as I can. The tried and true recipe for dark dye ever since the dawn of humanity, or maybe a little later, is tannins plus iron. And for the tannins we will use these little balls, these nuts, these gallnuts. Whenever I'm on a hike, I'm always looking when there are oak trees if I cannot find gallnuts. These are, you know, kind of tumorous growths on the oak trees after a gall wasp lays their egg on the tree, either on the leaves or on the twigs. I've got some dry ones. Let's crunch them up and make a nice tannin mordant bath. I'm not really trying to reduce them into a powder form, just smash them open a little bit so that there is more surface area. I don't know, more mordant in the water. So my gallnuts have been simmering for an indeterminate amount of time, but at least an hour. And as you can see, I'm going to take a little jar to show you even clearer. That is already really dark. I think we can mordant and probably dye our fluff with this. I'm going to strain out the leftover gallnuts. And then let's put in the yarn. Woo! Yeah, if we add iron to that, that's going to be amazing. This is a warning I give with most of my dyeing videos, but when you want to do this, please do so in a well-ventilated space. It might not be the best thing for your health, and also, they are very stinky, those tannins. Very, very stinky. Our forbidden noodles have once again been simmering for an indeterminate amount of time. I think they have taken up quite a bit of tannins already. Now to add the iron for the actual dark color magic. I topped off my coins that you might remember from a previous video. If you don't, the link shall be in the description. And let's add that very irony acid. Ooh, yeah, this is what we want, this is what we want. Yeah, this is the closest I have ever gotten to creating something resembling a black dye. Nice. I'll leave it in there for a couple of minutes, not too long, because the iron and the acid might make the wool pretty brittle, but we wanted to give it a chance to get as dark as possible. And here is our final color. I have rinsed it and then put it in my salad spinner to get it a little bit dry. I will dry the rest outside. I think it is just slightly warm enough for that. But one interesting observation I want to make, this all is Suffolk, so the same sheep breed. I think this might have been Flemish sheep or Belgian milk sheep, but as you can see, it has a slightly not lighter color. It's not technically lighter than these two, but warmer. This is more brown, as well these took more of the gray. Still going to use it in my project because otherwise I might not have enough yarn. Anyway, I am so happy with the results of this. Like, it's not black. My friend's aesthetic is very black, but this is, to me at least, I don't know how she thinks about it, a much more beautiful color than black. Like, it still has a bit of that brown of the tannins, and I think, especially since I want to make something with cables, this is going to be so perfect. Did you believe, did you think that we could get this dark of a shade with only natural materials? It's just magic. It's a couple of hours later, our yarn is dry and caked. Let's start knitting on the gift. And that gift shall be fingerless mittens. Because of course, now that I have been converted into a fingerless mitt wearer, everyone around me should be too. Naturally. The pattern I chose for the fingerless mittens for my friend are the Fallow Mittens by Dandelion Girl. It's an already older pattern, I think it was published in 2012, but it just has that angular cable. Yeah, just the angular cables that I was looking for, because my friend is really into, you know, Norse mythology, but also the aesthetics from the dwarf kingdom from Lord of the Rings, and I thought that if I would make these Fallow Mittens in this really dark grey, that would encompass both aesthetics, both styles. As usual, you know me, I will link the pattern in the description if you fancy making some for yourself or for a friend. I personally also have never been someone to follow current trends. I just do whatever I think is pretty or whatever fits my personal style, or whatever in this case I feel like would fit my friend's personal style. Whether or not that is a pattern that is already released 13 years ago. And the fact that I make videos about that sometimes gets us into really cute situations. Like the previous mittens that I made for my other friend. I recently got a direct message on Instagram from the designer of those mittens, who kind of completely forgot that she had designed them and now was pointing to the fact that someone made a vlog about mittens that she designed and did not remember designing. And subsequently was reminded how much she actually loves knitting. Giving older patterns some love can result into very nice results, not only, you know, project-wise, but human connection-wise. I really liked receiving that message. That really lit up my entire day, and I hope that seeing the vlog of her mittens being made also lit up her day, right? And maybe Dandelion Girl also sees this and thinks, oh, my mittens from 2012! You have people that are knit-worthy, but then you have people that are hand-spun, hand-dyed knit-worthy. And this particular friend falls in that latter category, because she deems me quilt-worthy. Surround yourself with crafty friends is my #1 life advice. You get so much cool stuff, like this quilt. My friend just really likes quilting, quilted this and thought, well, it's not really my style, but you know whose style it might be. So it wasn't even for a special occasion or anything, just I quilted this and I thought you might like it. Heck yeah. Now, to be able to become part of such a friend group with a lot of creative skills, it is of course paramount that you too have something to offer, that you too have a creative skill. And if, unlike me, you don't have a grandmom that made it her entire life's passion and life's pride to teach you all the crafts there are, may I interest you in today's sponsor, Skillshare? Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts. From knitting and crocheting to quilting, photography, woodworking or patisserie, just to name a few skills my friend group has, Skillshare can help you take your skill to the next level. For me, Skillshare is the platform where I try and learn as much new skills on the technical side of everything that is this YouTube channel. Right now, I'm trying to learn how to color correct in DaVinci Resolve. Via curated learning paths, you learn how to master a new skill or competency. Skillshare has made finding your ideal class or learning path easier with a new and improved class system, which includes smarter class categories, new topics, and the ability to find classes by software and material, and yes, yarn is such a material. If you want to join Skillshare as well, then head on down to the description box, because the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. And just like that, our first mitt is finished. Let's switch out Edoras for Casa Doom for a moment, because I have a question. Why is it so big? And before any of you say, Jente, your gauge just has loose morals, I know, but I knit this on size 4.5mm needles, while the pattern actually asks 6mm needles, and the pattern looks like this. How is that possible? It does look really dwarvish, right? Dwarvish and maybe also a little bit Nordic. I think I got the vibes right. The sizing might be something else. Friends, I possibly might be the dumbest dum-dum to exist within this time frame of this video. So while I was, stabbing at the pattern or at the designer for having weird gauge, and no, it would never work on a 6mm needle, that is because it will not work on a 6mm needle, and I have read my convergent chart wrong. This pattern is written for US size 4, and I must have been cross-eyed and looked at UK size 4. For this pattern actually should be knit on 3.5mm, and that makes so much more sense, and I'm sad that I'm almost finished with the second mitt, because we're going to frog it. We're going to frog it all and start over, because my suspicions were correct. This is not the right size, and if I continue knitting like this, my mitts will be just too big. I'm completely sure of it, that they would be too big. So bye. Bye. Thank God I did give myself enough time to make mistakes. Like, I didn't give myself enough time for this gift to actually spin the yarn, so that's why I went with yarn that was already spun, but I did give myself enough time to make mistakes. That's a good time frame, French. Give yourself room to make mistakes. I also knit up almost the entire mitten yesterday in a couple of hours, so I'm not scared about the deadline. Now, if by the biggest accident you could ever imagine one of you is one of my high school teachers, you will not be surprised that this just happened, because you will have told me that I should just read the exam questions better, or that, well, technically your exercise is correct, only you have substituted a plus sign for a minus sign. What's this then? 3.5. There we go. The right needles this time. Another question, actually. Is there a difference, linguistically, between mitt and mitten? Because I've been using them both in both this video and the video on these ones. Did you know? Is there a difference between mitt and mitten? Or is it just the same? Maybe mitt is just shortened for mitten. Let me know if you know. I do kind of like etymology and all those stuff, so type away, friends, type away. A pair of Dwarven/Norse mythology inspired fingerless mittens for my best friend, right in time to gift it to her for her birthday. Yes, mission accomplished. However, there will be one thing that I need to do before I can give them to her. I don't know if my camera picks this up, but my fingers have a slightly silver sheen. There might be still some dye in them, so I'm going to wash them thoroughly until there is no more gray coming out of it, because we don't want to give my best friend heavy metal poisoning from just wearing mittens. Right? That's not really what we want. I do hope they will not get a lot lighter doing that, because I do think that this color that we have achieved with the oak galls and iron modifier is exactly my friend's aesthetic, and it would be sad to mute that still. But we'll see. I'd rather have it a little bit lighter than to be soaked entirely with dye still. The process of these mittens also taught me to check my conversion chart a little bit better than I did. That might guarantee in the future that I won't have to knit a couple of mittens twice. As usual, the pattern for these will also be linked down in the description box if you want to make them for yourself or your friend. Anyway, I have a birthday party to go to, so if you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe. But of course, that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in a next video. But before that, maybe you could look at some more dyeing and or knitting shenanigans. Bye!